So, I recently received this comment from Robin Slee, which is basically just asking how to make full songs instead of little 4-bar loops or something like that. Now, this is something that I struggled with for the longest time. Probably around 95% of my projects that I made in the first 5 years of music production were just 8-bar loops, and I never really had any idea how to turn those into full songs. It wasn't actually until very recently that I was able to change this. I think if you were to go through my projects now, just to see how many of them were small loops and how many of them were full songs, you'd probably be looking at around 70% of them being full songs, which is a pretty big improvement. Now, there's no one single thing that helped me change from making little loops to making full songs. It's not like I have a production secret that music producers don't want you to know about. Instead, I think it just comes down to my current workflow. So up until recently, when I'd create a song, I'd make it in a linear fashion. So I'd basically start at the beginning of the song and work my way to the end, which means that with every single song that I would make, I'd start off by creating the intro. There isn't necessarily anything bad about creating a song this way, but I feel like I was just wasting a whole lot of creativity on this small little loop. I'd usually spend a couple of hours just trying to get this loop to sound perfect. I guess my reasoning was that I thought the first part of the song that a person will hear is the intro, so it better sound good. Even though that isn't really true, a lot of people just skip through the intro anyway. But anyway, by the time that I was happy with the intro section that I made, and I wanted to move on to other parts of the songs, I just had no ideas left in my head. My mind was just blank. I would have spent so much time and energy trying to get this little intro section to sound good, and then I just had nothing left to expand on this idea. So this would usually lead to me spending even more time on this little loop trying to make it sound even better. We're talking about putting on all of the finishing touches and making sure that the production sounded perfect, even though it was only a 30-second clip. I mean, it'd probably be the best sounding 30-second clip ever, but that's still not a full song. I'd usually revisit these small loops every couple of weeks, and each time I'd go ahead and add on a few more things, but I'd never touch the structure. I'd never expand upon that little loop that I started off with. It just felt like nothing else would work. Anyway, you might be asking yourself what could possibly change in your workflow to help you create full songs instead of these little loops, and it is pretty easy actually. So what I do now is, instead of starting off with the little intro section and making sure that sounds good before moving on, I now make the entire song in one go, and I don't worry about how anything sounds at all. Now, as a music producer, that might sound a little bit wrong, but trust me, it helps so much. So I think to explain this a little bit better, I'm gonna have to take you through my entire music making workflow. This might take a while. So when I start a new song, I'll usually use a template which I've created. This template of mine has a drum kit, one synthesizer, one marimba, we have a bass in there as well, and I think we finished it off with a lead sound. Now, all of these sounds that I use in the template, they're all just presets, and they're not necessarily good sounds as well. Since I'm only using them as the foundation of a song, it doesn't really matter how they sound. It's more just about the characteristics of each sound. So the next thing that I do is a little bit weird, so I'll usually unplug my headphones, and I'll just use the speakers on my laptop. Now, this won't necessarily help everyone out, but it definitely works for me. Since the sound is coming through my laptop speakers instead of my headphones, I feel like I'm paying a lot less attention to how the song actually sounds, and instead I'm paying a lot more attention to the core idea of the song. If I had headphones on, I'd probably get distracted by worrying about how the production side of things sounds before I'd even have any ideas for the song. Now, one last thing that I do pretty often is I'll go ahead and pull up a timer on my phone, and I'll just set it to around 20 minutes or so. This is more of a personal thing for me. I feel like 20 minutes is a good amount of time to know if a song idea is good or not, and know whether or not I should spend some more time on it or go ahead and work on something else. So now that I have my template ready, I have my timer ready, it's finally time to go ahead and start making some music. So straight away, I just go crazy and I just record as many little clips as I can. I mainly treat the recording session as a brainstorm. I just throw out as many ideas as I can. I usually don't stop the recording session at all. I just keep it looping over and over, and I'll just cycle through different clips on my launchpad. I also don't really give myself any time to listen to the clips that I've recorded. I'll just move on to the next thing and just make sure I'm constantly recording out different ideas. So this usually goes on for about 10 minutes, and in that time I've usually recorded enough clips that I can start piecing together a song. So I'll usually just go through and I'll just try out different clips that I've recorded and put them together. Whichever ones work, I'll group those together, and whichever ones don't work, I'll just delete them. And then after about only 10 minutes of trial and error, trying out different clips to see if they work together, I'll usually end up with a full song. So this is where I think it's important for me to set a deadline for myself, because after the timer goes off, I'll listen to the song the entire way through, and after that I'll know if it's worth trying to expand on the song idea or if I should just scrap it and start something new. A lot of the time I choose to keep the song idea and turn it into a full song, and then when I do that, I only have to worry about the production side of things. I don't have to worry about coming up with new sections for the songs or trying to figure out new melodies or anything like that. So the last song that I released, Take a Minute, was actually created using this exact same workflow. I created the entire song, like the entire 3-minute song, using my template in under 15 minutes. Then after about an extra 20 minutes of changing some instruments and tweaking some things here and there, I ended up coming up with this demo here. I can't hear anything, there's nothing playing. But anyway, if you compare it to the final version of the song, you'll notice that it sounds very similar. There wasn't actually a whole lot that I changed in between the demo version and the final release. Well, apart from the vocals, I guess, but still, I came up with the entire song in under an hour pretty much. And that's even more impressive considering only a year ago, if I spent an hour working on a song, I'd only have an 8-bar loop. This workflow of creating the entire song before working on any other production has actually helped me out quite a lot. Even though you might think it's a little bit weird that I'm making a video about creating full songs when I've only released one song in the past year. But honestly, I've finished a whole lot of songs since I started making music this way. A lot of them are either waiting for vocalists or I'm just waiting for the right time to release it. I've probably finished more songs over the past 6 months as I have over the past 6 years. In fact, in only about 2 weeks, I created 20 full songs, which I'm sure at least 18 of them will be getting released someday. But yeah, I guess to wrap this all up, what I'm trying to say is if you're struggling with making songs which are longer than 8-bar loops, try to focus more on the actual idea of the song rather than the production itself. A good song idea will always be a good song idea no matter how bad the production is. It's better to only spend 20 minutes on a song idea which ends up being bad than it is to spend hours working on something which is never going to be more than a 30-second loop. I can't believe how long it took me to realize this, and it's really weird because there's just a switch in my brain one day and I just felt like since then everything's made sense. And I kind of hope that this video helps some people experience that same thing too, I guess. And I was just about to wrap up this video and then I just remembered one thing. You know all those small 8-bar loops that you end up making that you can't turn into a full song? Split everything up into single tracks and then go ahead and export those stems. Put them all away in a folder with all of your other stems because you never know, it might come in handy someday. But yeah, I hope this video helps some of you out and I think that's pretty much everything. Thanks for watching everybody, bye!